Alright boys, another little video here with a Deus to 11 by 13 inch coil. Now there's some people may not realize this about this JS2 in mono program. I believe you could see this with the Deus 1 even back in the day, okay? So some people may decide to use this machine in the mono program. Does it behave differently? That can and that nickel have a move, boys. You can go back and watch my last video, the title Can and Nickel Demo Swept Deus 2 Sensitive Program. This is mono program. I'm currently at 40.4 kilohertz. I've got the same tone break, 72. All right. Sensitivity is the same at 90 as I was in the sensitive program in the last video. Tone pitch has been dialed down for the nickel a little bit, and it's highest pitch for the can. Speed 2. I'm going to leave this frequency window open on this machine. Could you detect something in the wall with a JS2 in mono program, non-ferrous, and not even realize it? That is a possibility. So you'll think this machine is tied up, which it is. Watch what happens when I release this coil though and come over here on this good old nickel. 40 kilohertz right now, 40.4. You hear that? No signal. Raise the coil. So as I get coil height, it comes in. Notice that. Down close. You don't hear that can, do you? Watch what happens when I come over on this nickel. You hear that? Hover the nickel. We don't never tie the machine up, do we? But we never heard the can, did we? We never heard the can. How about that shit? Now, we're going to come down in the frequency. 32 kilohertz. Same thing. We're hovering the nickel. We came over the can and we didn't hear it. Now, if that can was a dime or quarter over here, would we hear it? We probably would. Wouldn't we? I'm coming down in the frequency. Now I'm at 25 kilohertz, hovering the can, down close. Now if I raise the coil, down close, we're tied up. I'm coming over the nickel. Hear that? Now let's hover the nickel. We heard the can a little bit there. Didn't hear it there. How about a slow sweep? We didn't hear it, did we? Let's come on down. Now we're at 17 kilohertz. We're hovering the can down close. We're tied up. We heard the nickel, didn't we? Let's hover the nickel. We heard the can. Let's try it again. We heard it, didn't we? Let's back up to 25 kilohertz and try to hover the nickel again. Okay, so the way this machine is behaving in mono program is based on the frequency used, correct? Now we're at 13 kilohertz hovering this can. Now we're down closer. Notice we hear it. We heard the nickel, didn't we? Let's hover the nickel. Hear that? We heard the can. We heard the can again, didn't we? We're coming down in the frequency. Now we're at 7.5 kilohertz, down close. We heard the can, didn't we? So this machine has never been tied up on the can where we didn't hear the nickel. At higher frequencies, we can hover the nickel and come over the can and we don't hear it. But that's a big target. 4.4 kilohertz, we're hovering the can. Now remember, that's real low frequency on that nickel there, so it's not coming in the best. That's understandable. Let's back it back to 4.4 kilohertz again. I'm hovering the nickel. Notice we hit the can, unlike 40 kilohertz and some of those others. We hit the can. Let's try it back at 7.5. Hover the nickel. We heard the can. Now if I scroll back up here, 32 kilohertz, and I hover this nickel, we don't do too good on that can, do we? See that? Before I move this, I'm going to exit here. Here's the sensitive program. Speed 2. Watch what happens. Hovering the can down close. That's 40 max band. 24 max band. We still detect the can, which would suggest if we hover this nickel, we'll hear the can. Now we're going to look at the 14 max band this time. We're hovering the can. Hovering the nickel. But what we would expect here, if we were going to see a malfunction as far as, and I'm not calling it a malfunction necessarily, it would be in the 40 max band, the highest frequency used. Like mono program. Now we're back in 40 max band. But guess why this machine's not tied up on that? Because it's got a lower frequency working with it. Okay, so I'm going back to mono program. You know, this is educational, boys, and this video may turn out to be a piece of technical stuff for another manufacturer. Okay, we're at 32 kilohertz. We'll just leave it there, okay? So I don't get the can. You notice that? But we hear the nickel. Now I'm hovering the nickel. We didn't hear the can. We didn't hear the can. So we're going to get rid of this can here, okay? We'll just use this zinc and penny here, or copper penny. Copper penny, I'm going to put it on the 22-inch mark, okay? So now we're still at 40 max band. We're hovering that nickel. We heard that penny, didn't we? It's not a can anymore, is it? We're going to hover the copper penny. We heard the nickel. What does this suggest watching this video? As far as that vortex goes, this machine behaves different when I've got the can up there and the higher single frequency, don't it? We start coming down in the frequency and we get down to about 13 kilohertz. We hear the nickel and we hear the can hovering either one. Get higher than that, especially 25, 32, 40, we start seeing the can not being heard hover the nickel going from left to right with a coil. And we don't even hear the can hovering it. But multi-frequency on this machine is a whole different thing, huh? All bands hovering that can speed 2, we could hear that can. Correct? And we could hover the nickel and hear the can. But what about the mighty vortex? It looks like multi-frequency and the mono-frequency on that machine, single frequency, behave the same. That may be a hint for the fine folks at Garrett Metal Detectors. I'd hate to be the one to figure out what's wrong with their damn machine. That's going to conclude the video. I hope you enjoyed.